The night was supposed to be quiet in Stonehaven Point, just the sound of the tide and the faint creak of boats in the harbor. But for Noah Whitfield, everything changed the moment he slid into his SUV on Anchor Light Road. From the back seat, a small trembling voice whispered a warning that froze his blood. People he trusted were plotting to destroy him, and they already knew where he was. Then through the swirling fog, a tall figure in a rain-slick coat appeared motionless, watching his face hidden in shadow. Was he a threat, or the only one who could save him? That single night would pull Noah into a web of betrayal, danger, and secrets buried deep in the heart of Stonehaven Point, where every move could be his last, and the line between enemy and protector was razor thin. The fog at Stonehaven Point had a way of swallowing sound. That night, even the gulls were silent, as though the entire harbor was holding its breath. Noah Whitfield stepped out of the Seafarer's Lodge, hands tucked into his coat pockets, the glow from the inn fading behind him. It had been a long day of negotiations. He'd closed a major deal for the restoration company his family had built over generations. All he wanted now was the short walk down Anchor Light Road to his SUV, the comforting hum of the engine, and the quiet drive home along the coast. But that night, quiet wasn't on the menu. As he reached his vehicle parked under a leaning lamppost, Noah felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. The mist swirled, thick, dimming even the pool of light around his car. He unlocked the door, slid into the driver's seat, and reached for the ignition. A cold, trembling hand clamped over his mouth. Noah's body stiffened. He froze, heart thundering, breath trapped under the stranger's grip. Then a small voice, ragged with fear, whispered in his ear, "Don't make a sound. They're watching." His eyes darted to the rearview mirror. A girl, maybe 9 years old, crouched in the back seat. Her hair was windblown, her coat frayed at the cuffs, her pale cheeks streaked with dirt. Wide green eyes locked on his. "You have to listen to me," she said, voice low but urgent. "They're planning to ruin you, and they already know where you are." Noah twisted just enough to speak against her hand. "Who's they?" She glanced toward the fogged-up side window, as if expecting something or someone to emerge from it. Damian Kerrigan and Vanessa Aldridge. They meet at the Tideway storage depot by the docks. "I've heard them talk about you about Thursday, about making sure you'll never get your life back." The names hit him like a blow to the chest. Damian Kerrigan, his business partner for nearly 2 decades. Vanessa Aldridge, his meticulous assistant. The one who controlled his schedule, handled his calls, managed every detail of his professional life. He shook his head in disbelief. "That's impossible." "Why would they?" The girl's voice cut through him. "Because you trust them. That's how people like them win." Her hand slid from his mouth, but her eyes never left his. "My name's Chloe Winslow. You don't remember me, but you helped me once outside your office when I had nowhere to go. You gave me food. You didn't ask for anything. No one does that anymore." Noah didn't get the chance to respond. Chloe's gaze sharpened suddenly. "He's here." Noah followed her eyes toward the street outside. Through the mist, a tall figure emerged beneath the lamppost. The long folds of a dark raincoat swayed in the breeze. His face was hidden in the shadow of the brim, but something about the way he stood still, patient, sent a cold rush down Noah's spine. "The watchman," Chloe whispered. "He's always close. I don't know if he's protecting me or hunting me." The figure took one slow step toward the SUV. "Drive," Chloe urged. Noah hesitated just long enough for the man to take another step. That was all it took. Noah turned the key, the engine roared to life, and he eased into the street. He didn't look back until the glow from the lamppost was swallowed by fog. The watchman hadn't moved to follow. He'd simply turned away, disappearing into the mist. They didn't speak again until Noah parked beside the Gull's Nest Cafe, a small weathered spot tucked along the harbor. Its golden light spilled onto the wet cobblestones, promising warmth against the damp night air. Inside, the air was rich with the scent of coffee and cinnamon, the low hum of a jazz record playing in the background. They took a booth in the back. Chloe sat on the edge of the bench, her small hands curled around the mug of cocoa the waitress had set down. "They meet there late at night," she said, "at Tideway Storage Depot. I've seen boxes with your company's name, papers, contracts, things they don't want anyone to see." Noah leaned forward, his voice low. "If you're telling the truth, they're not just planning to take my company. They're planning to erase me. The door to the cafe opened, letting in a gust of wind and the smell of rain. Erin Mallory, dressed in plain clothes but carrying the quiet confidence of a detective, stepped inside. She spotted Noah and crossed the room, sliding into the booth across from them. "Well," she said, with a faint smirk, "you look like a man with more than a late-night coffee on his mind." Noah nodded toward Chloe. "She's the reason I called you. She says Damien and Vanessa are plotting something big." Erin's gaze shifted to Chloe. "Is that true?" Chloe glanced at Noah. "Can we trust her?" "Yes," he said, without hesitation. Chloe leaned in, lowering her voice. "If we don't stop them before Thursday, it'll be too late. And the watchman, he's always nearby. I don't know if he's working for them or against them." Erin's eyes narrowed slightly. "Then I guess we find out. Tonight." Outside, the fog thickened again, pressing against the cafe windows. Somewhere out there in the murk, the watchman was waiting, silent, unshakable, and watching every move they made. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. If you were Noah, would you believe Chloe's story or think it was all a setup? Do you think the watchman is a threat or an unlikely protector? And if you saw someone watching you in the fog every night, would you confront them or keep your distance? The rain started just after midnight, thin needles of water slicing through the fog and turning the cobblestones slick. Erin Mallory's unmarked sedan hummed quietly along the waterfront headlights, carving a narrow path toward the far end of Stonehaven Point. In the back seat, Chloe Winslow sat curled against the door, her small hands clutching the strap of a worn canvas bag. Noah Whitfield rode shotgun, his eyes locked on the road ahead, mind replaying Chloe's words over and over. "They'll be there tonight," Chloe said softly, almost to herself. "Same as always, late when no one's around." Erin glanced at her in the mirror. "And you're sure they keep the evidence there? I've seen it. Crates with Noah's company logo, boxes of papers, things they hide upstairs where no one goes." Noah's jaw tightened. If this is true, Damien and Vanessa aren't just staging a hostile takeover. They're setting me up to take the fall. The Tideway storage depot loomed out of the fog like a sleeping giant steel siding, weathered by salt air rust crawling along the edges of the loading bay. A single light glowed from a second-floor window, faint but steady. Erin parked behind a row of abandoned shipping containers. "We go in quiet. Find the proof. Get out." She handed Noah a flashlight, then checked the small holstered pistol under her jacket. Chloe led them to a narrow service door at the back. "Push hard at the bottom, pull at the handle," she whispered. Noah did as instructed. The door gave way with a metallic groan, revealing a dim hallway that smelled of machine oil and damp wood. They moved quickly, their footsteps soft against the concrete floor. The metal staircase to the second floor groaned with each step. At the top, Erin peered through the glass panel of the office door. Stacks of papers covered the desk. A laptop screen glowed faintly in the dark. Inside, Noah rifled through a filing cabinet while Erin scanned the desk. Chloe kept watch at the window, eyes darting between the fog and the shadows below. "Got it," Erin murmured, pulling a thick folder free. She flipped it open. Contracts with Noah's forged signature, bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts, meeting notes, mapping out every step of Damien and Vanessa's plan. Noah's stomach dropped. They've been planning this for months. Before Erin could respond, the muffled clang of the loading bay door echoed up from below. Heavy footsteps followed, slow, deliberate. "They're here," Chloe whispered. Erin snapped the folder shut and handed it to Noah. "Back stairwell. Move." They descended a narrow staircase at the far end of the building, emerging near a row of towering storage crates. But before they could reach the side exit, the main doors slammed open. Two figures stepped inside, silhouettes framed by the harsh beam of a security light. Damien Kerrigan's tall frame moved with unhurried confidence. Beside him, Vanessa Aldridge's heels clicked sharply against the concrete, the sound somehow colder than the rain outside. "They're heading for the office," Erin whispered. They slipped between crates, weaving toward the exit. Noah reached for the handle, then froze. The watchman stood in the doorway. His raincoat glistened under the dim security light, water dripping from the brim of his hat. He didn't move, didn't speak. The shadows hid his eyes, but Noah felt the weight of his gaze. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then silently, the watchman stepped aside, clearing the way. Noah met his shadowed face for the briefest second before leading Chloe and Aaron past him into the fog. The watchman didn't follow. They didn't stop moving until Aaron's sedan was gliding back toward town wipers, cutting a steady rhythm against the windshield. The stolen folder sat on Noah's lap, heavy with the weight of what it contained, more than enough to destroy Damien and Vanessa's scheme. Back at Noah's townhouse, they spread the papers across the dining table. Aaron snapped photos of every document, backing up each image to a secure drive. Chloe leaned on the table's edge, her voice steady despite the late hour. "You can't just hand this over quietly. If you do, they'll twist it and say you forged these to frame them." "She's right," Aaron agreed. "If you want to end this, you have to make it public, big enough that they can't spin it." Noah stared at the evidence, his mind already leaping ahead to Thursday's board meeting. "Then that's where I'll do it, in front of everyone." Still, one question gnawed at him. Why had the watchman let them go? If he worked for Damien and Vanessa, he should have stopped them. But if he was protecting them, why hide in the shadows? Outside, the rain had eased, but the fog clung to the streets, thick and unyielding. Somewhere out there, the watchman was still watching. If you were in Noah's place, would you confront Damien and Vanessa in front of everyone immediately, or keep gathering more proof before making your move? Thursday morning broke pale and cold over Stonehaven Point, the mist clinging stubbornly to the harbor as if trying to keep the day from arriving. Noah Whitfield stood on the balcony of his townhouse, coffee cooling in his hand, staring out toward the gray horizon. In just a few hours, he would walk into the boardroom of his family's company and face the people who had tried to take everything from him. Inside, the dining table was still covered in evidence, every contract transfer slip and handwritten note stolen from Tideway Storage Depot. Aaron Mallory sat at one end, double-checking the timeline of events. Chloe Winslow, small and quiet, sipped a mug of cocoa while watching them both. "You've got them cornered," Aaron said. "But once you go public, there's no going back." Noah set his coffee down. "Good. I don't want to go back." The Marlowe Chamber, a grand wood-paneled meeting hall in the center of town, was already buzzing when Noah arrived. Damien Kerrigan sat at the head of the table, his expression calm, but his eyes sharp. Vanessa Aldridge stood beside him, her stack of neatly arranged documents ready for presentation. Around the table, the board members chatted idly, unaware of the storm about to hit. Damien opened the meeting with a warm smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Before we begin," he said smoothly, "I'd like to present a proposal for a leadership transition. This is for the good of the company's future." Noah let him speak. Let him play his part. When Damien finished, Vanessa moved to pass out the documents, each one a polished lie. That's when Noah stood. Before any vote, he said, his voice carrying across the room, "There's something you all need to hear." He set a small recorder on the table and pressed play. Damien's voice filled the chamber. "Once Thursday's done, he's out. Everything's lined up." Then Vanessa's voice followed. "By the time he figures it out, it'll be too late." The room fell into a stunned silence. Noah began laying out the evidence, photographs of forged contracts, records of fraudulent transfers, and meeting notes that mapped out the entire plot. Gasps and whispers rippled through the board. One of the senior members finally spoke. "I move for the immediate removal of Damien Kerrigan and Vanessa Aldridge from all positions pending legal investigation." The vote was unanimous. Damien's composure cracked, his jaw tightening as security escorted him and Vanessa from the room without a word. When Noah stepped out into the crisp afternoon air, Aaron and Chloe were waiting on the steps. "It's over?" Chloe asked, almost afraid to believe it. "It's over," Noah said, kneeling so he could look her in the eye. "And I couldn't have done it without you." She smiled, a small, genuine smile that made her look younger than she had in days. "You listened when I told you the truth. Most people wouldn't." They walked together toward the Seafarers' Lodge, where Noah had promised them a celebratory dinner. The harbor glimmered faintly through the thinning mist. And then just beyond the edge of the pier, Noah saw him, the watchman. He stood at the corner of Anchor Light Road, coat swaying lightly in the breeze. For a moment their eyes met. Noah couldn't see his face clearly, but he could feel the weight of that gaze. The watchman gave the smallest nod, then turned and disappeared down a side street as if his work here was done. That evening, inside the warm glow of the lodge, Noah, Aaron, and Chloe shared a meal that tasted like victory and relief. Laughter filled the air, blending with the soft hum of conversation from the other tables. "To new beginnings," Erin said, raising her glass. "To trust," Chloe added. Noah smiled. "And to the people who stand by you, even in the fog." If you've been following this story, how did the ending make you feel? Did you expect the Watchman's quiet goodbye? If you enjoyed it, comment 100 below. Tell me which country you're watching from, and don't forget to share this story so others can feel the same rush of suspense and hope you just experienced.